so whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. Hey, Bloomsburg, welcome into this next edition of the Wrap-Up, the first of the 2018 spring semester. I'm your host, Jake McDonald. To my right, I'm joined by Corey Zimmerman. On my left, Ryan Thomas, and we're here to break down all things Super Bowl 52. Obviously, a big win for the Eagles, to say the least, the first in franchise history, first Super Bowl win, a 41-33 win over the New England Patriots, who went into the game as the favorites. The Eagles, of course, were the underdogs, not just in the Super Bowl, but really throughout the entire playoffs. So, Corey, just breaking down the game, what did you notice specifically, whether it was the trick play that Nick Foles made? There not a lot of good defense, honestly, played in the game, but from an Eagles standpoint, what did you think of how they accomplished what they did on the field on Sunday?
Well, I think Nick Foles played with high confidence throughout the entire game. Doug Peterson came in with the right game plan for the whole 60 minutes, and he gave Nick Foles a chance to win this game. And Nick Foles took shots downfield, as you saw in the Alshon Jeffrey touchdown. And they really controlled the ball, and that's what they were doing the entire playoffs is time of possession. And it was Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement. You know, guys were making big plays after big plays. And you mentioned it, the trick play. That was huge. I mean, I don't think the Patriots were expecting it. Obviously, they didn't. And a fourth down, Doug Peterson was known for gambling all the time on fourth down. I think that's how they won the game. And I said at the beginning of the game that they needed to make a defensive play. It was going to come down to one defensive play for either team, whether it would be a strip sack, interception, whatever it may be. And the Eagles got the strip sack at the end of the game by Brandon Graham.
Shifting over to you now, Ryan. Of course, the Patriots had some injuries on offense this year. Julian Edelman got hurt in the preseason. And then really Brady was already relying on Gronkowski a lot, but then Brandon Cooks went down with that nasty concussion in the game. Even though the Patriots lost the game, Brady was still able to throw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. I think that's the first time ever that a quarterback's thrown for that many yards and lost the game, especially in the Super Bowl. What does that say? Even though the Patriots didn't come out on top, Brady didn't win the MVP, he still had an MVP season, even though they didn't come out on top on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he did the best he could with what he was given. When you don't have that deep threat in Brandon Cooks, obviously the defense is able to suffocate you a little more. Amendola wasn't able to do what he normally does, wasn't that effective, but still, like you said, a valiant effort nonetheless, and definitely something that they'll be able to take with them in stride to next season.
Well, that's about going to do it for us here on the NFL segment of the Wrap-Up. Again, big moment in Bloomsburg, not only in Philadelphia, but locally as well, with a lot of Eagles fans on our campus celebrating the first Super Bowl victory ever for the Philadelphia Eagles in a 41-33 win over the New England Patriots. Again, for Ryan Thomas and Corey Zimmerman, I'm Jake McDonald. We'll now send it over to Matt Locke for some updates on college basketball.
Welcome back to the Wrap-Up. It's been a while, but we are back for our first show of the spring semester. I'm Matt Locke, about to bring you some NCAA basketball updates as we take a look at the most recent AP poll where UVA is ranked #1 for the first time since 1982, despite the overtime loss at home to Virginia Tech this past weekend. Another big AP collapse is Kentucky. Unranked, they've lost 3 straight, all 3 of their losses coming in the SEC to A&M, Tennessee, and Mizzou. They're in trouble coming close to tournament time. John Calipari's got some work to do with those young guys. Their next game is Wednesday at 9 p.m. on ESPN2. They travel to take on the number 10 Auburn Tigers, so a tough game for them. I'm Matt Locke for college basketball. We're going to kick it to Ryan Thomas with an NHL update.
Hi everybody, my name's Ryan Thomas. I'm here to bring you the latest NHL news from around the league. The trade deadline is fastly approaching as it's coming on Monday, February 26th. Teams will look to boost their rosters as we get closer to playoffs. A lot of the action is expected to happen north of the Canadian border. The biggest names on the trade market include Canadians Alex Galchenyuk and Max Pacioretty. Other forwards include Mike Hoffman, Evander Kane, Rick Nash, Thomas Vanek. These are good players to add to your roster, players with a lot of experience and skill that could really make you have a good chance of winning the Stanley Cup. Some defensemen on the market include Ryan McDonough. One defenseman also, Jack Johnson, Mike Green. These guys are all over the spectrum, some younger than others, but definitely guys that could add a lot of depth to any defensive core. Other NHL news, Crosby netted his 400th goal on Sunday versus the St. Louis Blues.
Deflected it. Green goes behind the net before Thorburn can put it out front again, and Letang was never able to get back. Score! Crosby was at the front of the net.
He just becomes the 95th player in NHL history to reach that. This is the latest accolade for a man who has won everything in the sport, from Stanley Cups, Conn Smythe trophies, Olympic gold medals, the list goes on. In more saddened news, Jack Eichel was injured with a sprained ankle versus the Bruins. The rising superstar had 53 points in just 55 games this season. He was one of the lone bright spots in an otherwise forgettable season for the Buffalo Sabres. The Las Vegas Knights continue their impressive run. They are first place in the West, second place overall in the league. They are led by Jonathan Marchessault and James Neal, who has already scored 24 goals on the campaign. They already have the most wins by a team in an inaugural season, and we still have a few months left to play. This has been a Hockey Update. I'm Ryan Thomas, wrapping up.